Hello, my name is Rick Thomas, and this is my wife Carolyn. I am the one that does all of the broadcasting for Moxie Church's YouTube channel that you might be tuning into. I feel constrained that maybe I should give you a little biographical information about myself. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, to a dysfunctional family. My mother was a prescription drug uh, addicted person. My father deserted the family when I was in the fourth grade. Um, I have an older brother and a deceased sister who died by suicide. I'm not going to get into all of the dysfunction of my family, except to say, by the grace of God, I am what I am today, and I'm here today by His grace. I had a business at one time in St. Petersburg, Florida, a service master business. Had 22 employees, one nighttime supervisor, several vehicles. Warren Wiersbe, who was pastor of Moody Church, married us in 1975 in Chicago. I'm born and raised in Chicago. My wife was born and raised mostly in Canada. We met at Moody Bible Institute. Dr. Wiersbe married us, and about a year and a half later, we took off to work at a juvenile delinquents boys ranch in Greenville, Mississippi. We were there for some time, relocated to Florida where her parents were living, and got a job driving a propane truck delivering propane gas heating fuel to the snowbirds who came down to Florida in the wintertime. We went ahead and took out a franchise with ServiceMaster and saw the business grow. Warren Wiersbe came to our church that we were attending at that point in St. Petersburg. And I went to one of the services at night. He was doing a Bible conference and went up and talked to him a little bit afterwards. And he shook his finger at me. He says, "One day you're going to be on the mission field." And I thought to myself, well, that's not really my cup of tea, but I would be open to going back to school and becoming a pastor. So the long and short of it is I made application to Moody Bible Institute because I'm from Chicago, and I knew the school. It had not changed at the time that I went. And we sold the business, sold our little house that we had, packed up two daughters. One was born in Vero Beach, Florida, on the East Coast. Debbie was born on the West Coast in St. Petersburg. Loaded up a U-Haul, attached a car to the back. The youngest one laid in the floorboard between Carolyn's feet, and the older one laid between us on the bench seat, and the Cocker Spaniel was up on top of the seat in the back. And so we drove to Chicago. I went to Moody for 3.5 years. It was only a 3-year program at that time. And I stayed longer to get a double diploma, one in pastoral studies and then one in Christian education, because I was so impressed with Robert Barron, who was a Christian educational teacher, but also a youth pastor. And he was in his middle age, but that's all he did for all of his ministerial career besides teaching. And I was so impressed by that. And so I got a diploma in Christian education. During my last time there, the last couple of months, a friend of Carolyn's who worked in the employee lunch area reached out and said that their pastor had left and wanted to know if I wanted to come out and fill the pulpit. And so I took the opportunity to do that. Long and short of that, they asked me to come on as interim pastor while they looked for someone else, which I did. Um, Subsequently, we were asked to stay on as full-time pastor of that church, and we were there for about 6 years. We saw the church go from about 80 people close to probably 175 in about 3 years. And the Lord really blessed. It took a toll on our marriage because I was a workaholic, and Carolyn was so faithful in supporting the ministry and working with the women. Many times within the month, we had people over on Sunday as well after the morning service. The church conducted 3 services at that point: Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday evening. We left that church and went to Colorado to a small Baptist church, and we were there for about a year, and then applied to Moody to work there. And so we returned to Chicago with 4 children in tow. Our 2 boys were born in Illinois at that church that we were at for 6 years. And so as we returned to Chicago with our 4 children, I started working at Moody Bible Institute. And I'm not quite sure about the circumstances, how it was arranged, but I wound up being an adjunct professor in the evening school. And we had relocated from our travel trailer that we lived in up in Wakanda, Illinois, to a housing project downtown Chicago, which was about 2.5 blocks away from Moody Bible Institute. And so I taught down there probably 2 to 3 times a week in the evening, besides working at the Institute in 1 or 2 different departments over the 6 years that I was there. We left the Institute, and we were directed to start Mount Carmel Ministries, which was, it's no longer in operation now, which was a counseling center that also developed into a training center. And at first it was just myself in the back of our home. We converted a porch into a little office area. And then we were given some space at a Baptist church in Brookfield, Illinois, and set up shop down there. Things began to grow through our training center. We were ministering in 3 African American churches, one of the largest ones in Chicago at that time. And the students, as they were growing, we invited them to come and do their hours of counseling, supervised counseling, because our training program was associated with the National Association of Nouthetic Counselors. And to get certified with that organization, they had to do 50 hours of supervised counseling. And so here was a prime opportunity for them to gain experience, to be supervised, and to see how they were progressing. And so the little office turned into 3 additional offices, a reception room and a receptionist office area. And so we were there for a number of years. We relocated to Montana, in the Bozeman, Montana area, and we ministered at Grace Bible Church there for about a year and a half, with probably 20, 25 students from that church. And once a month, we went up to a little town in northern Montana called Cutbank, Montana. And over the weekend, we presented training there. And so it was a delight to be in that area. We built a home out there, and just about the time that we were moving into the home, uh, the students had graduated in both locations. We received a call to Kansas City, Missouri, uh, to come and head up their counseling department and to redevelop it into a training center. So after much prayer, Carolyn and I decided to go ahead and do that. By that time, our children were grown and out on their own. So it was just Carolyn and myself and uh, two dogs, I think, at least one, I know. And so we relocated to Kansas City, Missouri to Calvary Bible College and Seminary. And we redeveloped the program to within a student coming in as a freshman, within 4 years, they could get certified with the National Association of Nouthetic Counselors. Things did not work out as we anticipated, and so we had bought a home in Grandview, Missouri, which was about 10 minutes away, and we wanted to stay in that area. We had no other places to go. The counseling ministry was not at a one-on-one level, but the training center was going very, very well. And so we were getting into churches across America and even overseas, presenting how to effectively counsel people. And so we had a delightful time for a number of years traveling to different churches in different states, and as I mentioned, even overseas. And so what a blessing that was. And again, the dear faithfulness of my wife allowing me to do that. After that time, things began to slow down a little bit. So we started a lawn mowing business, got up to about 60 customers. We also got into wood splitting and had probably 18 to 20 regular customers. Had a gentleman about my age that would help. And so we were splitting wood throughout the year, anywhere between 40 and 45 cords a year, stacking it up into a lean-to and then delivering it to people. From there, what transpired was the following. As we were getting older, we did not like working multiple jobs just to give it away, to pay bills and a mortgage, etc. So we made some improvements on the home. And our concept, and Carolyn always wanted to do this because her parents were kind of gypsy vagabonds. They enjoyed traveling very, very much, and they would go for several months at a time, but they had a location that they came back to. Well, we decided we wanted to go full time. And so we got the house kind of spruced up, and we sold the businesses, sold the house, and purchased a travel trailer, which in turn we realized would not be suitable for us. And then Carolyn wanting to make sure for safety that if something happened, you could just get behind a wheel and drive off. So we wound up getting a motorhome. And so we thought we were living the life. However, I don't know how this exactly happened, but we took a bath on the house. And what we expected to get out of it was not anywhere close. And so this dream of seeing the world got us as far as Mississippi. And it was a destination we were going to go to. It was a place that I lived at for about 3.5 years. And we volunteered down there. Carolyn worked at the reception area of this school campus. It was a residential facility for kids. They had their own school. And so she worked at the visitors center. and I worked on what else? Lawn maintenance and helping out on the grounds. Um, excuse me. We decided to kind of move on from there and wound up working at a KOA campground. They have this volunteer program to where you can work and you get your lot and utilities for free. And so you just had to put in 15 hours. So Carol and I had to work 30 hours a week between us. And we stayed there for the entire summer. And about 3/4 of the way through, I contacted a place called Village Missions. Brian Wexler was the president. He retired. He and I went to school together. And when we were both in Colorado, I went up and visited him where he was serving at in Red Feather Lakes, Colorado. And so we contacted the organization to find out if they had any volunteer positions that were open. Um, we could have gone with them when I was graduating from Moody, but I did not like the idea of deputation. And so we found out that because we were pretty well self-sufficient because of our whopping Social Security checks, they had a associate position. And so we interviewed and were accepted. And while we were in New York, near the baseball Hall of Fame, I forgot what it was called. There was a little church there, and so Blodgett Mills, we were there for about 6 weeks, about a 2-hour drive one way, and a little tiny church, probably 12 to 15 at the most. And the reason we were there for such a short time is because they had a pastor coming from Village Missions, and we were just holding down the fort until this young man arrived. And as we knew that was happening, the representative began looking around for an area that we could go to that would possibly provide housing, because we had already been through a very severe winter in Missouri. Things froze up, and it was not a pleasant experience. We did not want to go through that again. So Skip Pullen, who is the representative in this area that we were under at that point, knew of a church where we are at now, Moxie Community Church in Wyalusing, and asked us to come out here and temp. We were only supposed to be here for about 6 to 7 months. But subsequently, things took a different direction, and the church wanted us to stay. We had to work out the logistics with Village Missions, and so we have been here for almost 4 years now. Now, when this COVID hit and everything began to shut down, we did meet out in our parking lot for probably maybe 2 months or so. And for the most part, the weather was very good. Kind of difficult with the PA system because it's a wide open parking lot on the edge of a field. And I began to think about what I had done back in Missouri. We had developed a go-to-meeting symposium or seminar type situation, webinars. And so we would host those every week and present training. And so I reactivated the GoToMeeting link. And so now what we do on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday evening, we present studies on different topics that are relevant, and hopefully the Bible has much to say about those situations. I also try to post a daily broadcast to keep the opportunity for our people and others to study God's Word. We have recently begun recording our services, and I was really overwhelmed and pleasantly surprised about so many people listening to our second broadcast of the morning service this past Sunday. So I'm delighted that we are having some type of impact that way. So this is the one who is broadcasting. This is that grovelly voice that you are hearing. Uh, I only show you PowerPoint slides and not my picture because that can get pretty scary and you might not want to come back. On a sad note, my wife was promoted to glory in June of this year. 45 years of marriage, faithful partner uh, with me in the service of the Lord, and she is greatly missed. And so we continue to do what God wants us to do, wondering what is the next step? Where are we going from here? How are we going to try to recoup if COVID ever releases its grip? If the church ever wakes up and understands that God is trying to get our attention. So, this is who I am. This is what I strive to do. I have 3 diplomas from Moody Bible Institute, 2 diplomas and 1 degree, a bachelor's degree. I have 3 degrees from Trinity Theological Seminary in Newburgh, Indiana. I have a master's of ministry, I have a master's of divinity, and I have a doctorate in ministry. Why am I telling you that? I have no idea, because the only thing that has gotten me is a bald head. But my education from Trinity in particular has been deeply, deeply valuable, because that's where I got connected with Dr. J. Adams, who recently has passed. What a beloved mentor he has been in my life, helping me grow as a person, as a pastor, and as a counselor. So I trust this little information might shed a little bit of light about why I do what I do. And I hope that you'll continue to check the different broadcasts that we are posting for your enrichment. And if it is beneficial to you, maybe pass the link along to somebody else. God bless.